just wanted to make this short video to go through the elements within the sort of stage 2 that we've asked you to do. Thought a short video would be useful where I can just talk to the steps and show and work through the worked example that we sent you. So what you should have is for each one of the projects that you've already developed and submitted, we've now added on the additional boxes, and you should have those with you. So we're building on what you've done. So you will continue to have at the project level the outcome, the strategic alignments, and the what difference will it make. What we're now asking you to do is the kind of project activities, the project deliverables as part of stage 2. So the first thing we're asking you to do is describe the key steps. So in the next 12 months, what key activities are you doing in order to support the achievement of the outcomes that you've set above? They may be engagement events, developing pathways, agreeing dashboards, building protocols, pathways, as I said. So lots of different things that you may be doing, not lots. We want you to do those key steps. What are the key steps that you're looking at, 4, 5, 6, across this 12-month period to contribute to the outcomes that you're looking at? And we're looking at a fairly simple description, a single line description of what is the activity that you're going to deliver. Then we're asking you to produce the outputs. So as a result of that specific activity, what will you produce that then again contributes to the outcomes? So a system-wide agreement, a resource impact assessment in terms of beds, flow, money, prescribing, etc. You may also, one of the key things looking at, and we'll look at that later, is developing the outcome measures. So one of those key stages may be developing the outcome measures to describe what difference does it make. So some form of outcomes framework will be the output. So it's a key stage and an output. That then forms the spine of everything else we're looking at, asking you to do. So the next bit is the roles and dependencies. This is an important part because as networks, you are in control of some of the stuff that you can do. You can control the delivery of the key stages and the key and the outputs above. But to actually make the changes happen, you will need others to agree and deliver. You will need providers, you will need potentially commissioners and other people, so the national groups, etc. This is that opportunity to map that out now, because it's really important to know that what you can do, but also to communicate with others what you need them to do. Because as a network, that's going to make the difference between making a significant difference because we're affecting systems, or looking at the smaller change, which is in the remit of what you can control. So again, we're using the key stages as a spine. We've got an overall opportunity there for the role overall for that project, the broader description. Your role is bringing people together, facilitating agreement, sharing agreement, getting sign off, moving things forward. What we then are asking you to do at the same level is consider dependencies in 3 categories. Provider dependencies. What do you need providers to do? Now, we're not looking for necessarily all boxes to field for all lines. You may not need key provider elements for key stages, but if you want things to impact at a provider level, then providers are going to need to be aware, be engaged, and to sign off. Your network and your network board members are really important for this, because this is an opportunity to describe that if as a network we're going to achieve what we want, we need the organizations that you are part of to be signed up for this. So we need you to work within And this is a way of describing that can be shared with your network members, the board members, and other key clinicians and other members of operational staff. The provider dependencies, commissioner dependencies, and again, if they're required to effect a change to contracting, signing off, all of those elements. And thirdly, other dependencies. So the national groups, as I said, if you're looking for a national reference group to produce the pathway, or wider public patient involved groups or other key members of the system. So it's provider, commissioner, other. And so what we're then asking, as you said, you've got an opportunity as an overall, but also those key stages that you're looking to deliver in this financial year. What is your role within that key stage? What is the provider's dependencies? What do you need them to do? What do you need commissioners to do? And what do you need others to do? It's a really useful way of setting out at the beginning what you believe you need from others. And that's really important when we come later on in 6 months' time, when you said, well, we've delivered this. However, this particular element is now blocked because we don't have a provider signing off something. So the next level of work that we're looking at are the outcomes. So again, this feeds back to the what difference does it make at the project level? And this feeds down directly. So for each what difference does it make, we're looking for at least one mechanism to demonstrate over the year or beyond how will you know whether that difference is actually happening. Now, we recognize this is one of the most challenging parts to measure the outcomes, to measure the differences when often those measures don't exist. So we've looked at sort of 4 categories, really. The first category is when you've got proper data reflecting directly to the impact you're making. So, for example, there you've got a reduced unwarranted length of stay variation. So length of stay is something you can measure, you can do it live, you can actually therefore use SPC chart to not only say, have we reduced length of stay, but we've also reduced the variation in length of stay over time. And we understand there is consistency, which can affect and improve providers' management of resources. So that's kind of your gold standard, really. The next level down is where you have some actual real life data, but it's more of a proxy to the change that you're making. And then the third level is kind of where you won't have any live real data, but you've got an alternative in terms of surveys or spot checks, spot audits, or other mechanisms, more qualitative mechanisms that help you understand whether the impact you're having is happening. And this is because you're all operating in complex systems. You're trying to affect change where there's many people and many organizations and many professions involved. And we've looked above at the outputs. So they're the things you can control. That's what we're going to do, and that's what we're going to produce. The connection between the outputs and the outcomes, because of the complexity, is not always linear, and it's not always a straight line. There are other elements and unintended consequences and things that, with the greatest planning in the world, sometimes the outputs don't lead to the outcomes. So therefore, this is a way of understanding as a collective, and with your board, we've made the differences we've said we're going to make, the changes we said we're going to make, we've reduced the outputs, but they haven't quite worked, and therefore we need to change. So it's a feedback mechanism to yourselves and to your boards, as well as to the wider system. Now, the fourth area is obviously if you don't have any form of measure, then over the year, that should be developed. And as long as that's a key stage, a key step, as I talked about earlier, then that's fine. You can clearly say that we haven't got it, but we will be developing measures as we go as part of a dashboard or a system of measurement. So that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for percentage loss, necessarily the actual targets or anything. You're looking at is describing very clearly how you will know whether the outputs have made the differences and therefore will deliver the outcomes that you have said. So we have key stages, we have outputs, and we have the measures for what difference does it make. Therefore, when are the outcomes? How will we know whether the outcomes are happening? The final stage is what we're asking you to do is just to map that to the 4 quarters in this year. So for each quarter, which key steps do you plan to have completed? And connected to that, therefore, is what outputs will you produce? So key step, output, which quarter? And then the third element is the outcomes. Now, obviously, some of the projects are going to have an impact over 12 months. Some may take longer. We fully understand that. But we just want you to begin to map where you think at this stage those impact for those outcomes may be happening. So as you can see in our worked example, they start kicking in around quarter 3, quarter 4. And you can see the sort of early learning is one of those key outcomes because learning was an important part. So we've done the work, we've reviewed the system, we've developed, and we're feeding back early learning. So that is a key outcome. It's a qualitative outcome, but it's specific. You can demonstrate that that is actually happening. Other outcomes kick in. So your transfer decisions kicking in there, SPC, so your length of stay is changing, your theatre utilisation is changing. And that may be, it's decreasing or but that's when you expect that to kick in. And again, this is a plan. We fully understand that things happen in the year, things change. So things may not happen exactly as you've planned, but having clarity on the plan at the beginning is important for you, for your board, and for others. And that is what we're asking you to do. So hopefully that helps and clarifies. If you do have any further questions or want to ask any questions of me, then please contact me. And hopefully that has helped. Thank you. Yeah.